The Spartans' terms were heavy. The great walls which had defended the city were to be torn down. Her fleet was to be destroyed.
We have this wonderful scene of Lysander sailing into the Piraeus and dismantling the Athenian fleet. That's important because the destruction is symbolically a destruction of the Athenian Empire.
What remained of Athens' mighty navy was put to the torch, with only 12 ships allowed to remain. No longer would she rule the Mediterranean.
The Athenians became convinced that they could do, finally, in the end, more than they really could. And I think this is really the point in which the potential that Athenian democracy brought about could turn to tragedy. They could achieve great things, they could not achieve all great things.
But it would still take one more act of vanity and violence before the Athenians could redeem themselves. And their city could be reborn. Humiliated, their empire lost, the Athenians looked for someone to take the blame for their defeat. They searched for an enemy within their city walls, someone who had dared to question their dreams of supremacy. They searched for Socrates.
Socrates was a critic. He was critical of the thinking and the thought processes of his fellow citizens, and he was critical about the public affairs of Athens.
For over 50 years, Socrates had been publicly questioning and attacking the traditions of Athenian life. And around him he had gathered a group of youthful followers. Surely this must have weakened the city's moral character, undermined her hunger for victory. On the command of the assembly, Socrates was arrested on charges of questioning the state religion and corrupting the youth of the city.
I am quite sure that especially in a relatively small society like Athens, someone who is constantly questioning the principles by which the society has traditionally governed itself will be perceived as a very major danger by at least some people in society. You can easily see that a few hundred people might want him out, and they did.
The Athenians would now put to trial the one man who dared to question the way they lived their lives. Socrates' trial would be held in Athens' central marketplace, under a canopy to shade the fierce heat of the Greek sun. He would be tried by a jury of his fellow citizens, chosen at random. But this would not be a trial we would recognize.
The Athenian legal system was remarkably different from a modern system. There are no lawyers involved with this. There is no trained judge involved with this. It is, in some ways, a very frightening system from a modern point of view. The law did not have the same stature in Athens that it has in a modern society.
Socrates would be judged by the same kind of group he had watched condemn 6 generals to summary execution 7 years before. He would be given only a limited time to defend himself. All speeches in the Athenian courts were timed by a water clock. 1 jar of water steadily running into another. But Socrates shows no fear in the face of his accusers. In fact, he is positively stubborn. He explains that far from corrupting Athens, his life of questioning has done nothing but improve the city.
To put it bluntly, I've been assigned to this city, as if to a large horse which is inclined to be lazy and is in need of some great stinging fly. And all day long I'll never cease to settle, here, there, everywhere, rousing and reproving every one of you.
It is not an approach designed to win sympathy. Socrates is setting himself and his life against the entire Athenian state.
He is doing what he thinks is the right thing to do. He thinks the life he has chosen, this life of thinking for yourself, is the best life. As he says in his speech, the unexamined life is not worth living for a human being.
If Socrates had simply apologized to the court, he might well have been acquitted. But instead, he demands free dinners for life, for all the work he has done.
I can just imagine what that jury and the audience of that trial must have thought at the time. They must have been absolutely speechless.
When the final vote came, the verdict could hardly have been a surprise. The court found Socrates guilty with the penalty of death. But Socrates reacted with calm and serenity.
Well now, it is time to be off, I to die and you to live. But which of us has the happier prospect is unknown to anyone but heaven.